Guys, listen. One of the biggest mistakes men make with women is thinking that telling her how much you like her is what's going to make her feel attraction for you. It doesn't work like that. Attraction is not logical. Attraction is not a checklist. Attraction is an emotional response that she feels toward you based on your actions, based on your vibe, based on how you show up as a man. You can say, "Oh, I really like you. I really care about you. I want to be with you." And you think that's going to build attraction. But the truth is, it has no effect. Why? Because words don't create attraction. Behavior does. Your energy does. How you carry yourself, how you lead the interaction. That's what matters. Women respond to how you make them feel, not what you tell them. You can't talk a woman into liking you. You can't reason her into being attracted. Attraction is either there or it isn't. And if it is, your job is not to talk her out of it by acting weak, needy, or insecure. So stop trying to sell yourself with words. Stop thinking that confessing your feelings is the magic formula. Focus instead on being centered, being grounded, being the guy she can't help but feel drawn to, because your actions, your energy, your presences speak louder than any words ever could. Here's the thing most guys completely misunderstand about attraction. They think it's some kind of logical process. They think if they say the right things, if they check the right boxes, if they present their resume of why they'd be a great boyfriend, that's what's going to flip the switch and make a woman feel attraction. But the truth is, attraction is not logical, it's emotional, it doesn't operate on reason. It operates on feelings. It operates on biology. It operates on that internal chemistry that a woman experiences when she's around a man who knows how to show up in his masculine energy. And here's the kicker, no matter how much you try to reason with her, no matter how many times you tell her how much you like her, that's never going to create the attraction you want. Think about it like this. You don't decide to be hungry. You don't sit down with a spreadsheet and say, okay, let's evaluate whether or not I should eat. Hunger is something you feel. You can't talk yourself into being hungry if you're not. And you can't talk yourself out of being hungry if you are. That's the way attraction works. It's like an appetite. It comes from within. It's not something you can convince someone to feel. And yet, so many guys make the mistake of thinking they can logic a woman into liking them. They'll say, well, I'm a good guy. I've got a good job. I treat her well. I told her I like her. Why doesn't she feel the same way? Because attraction doesn't care about logic. It doesn't care about your checklist. It doesn't care about what you think should matter. It only cares about the emotions she experiences when she's around you. And here's where men screw it up even more. When a guy doesn't understand this, he starts doubling down on logic. He starts thinking, well, if I tell her more, if I explain harder, if I confess my feelings in a big romantic way, maybe then she'll see how serious I am. But the reality is, the more you do that, the less attractive you become. Why? Because when you try to logically persuade a woman to like you, you're showing insecurity. You're showing that you don't understand how attraction works. You're showing that you don't trust that she feels what she feels. And women can sense that. It comes across as weak, it comes across as needy, and nothing kills attraction faster than neediness. So when you tell a woman how much you like her, thinking it's going to increase her attraction, you're actually doing the opposite. You're making her feel like she's under pressure. You're making her feel like you're trying to talk her into something she doesn't naturally feel. And guess what? That destroys the very attraction you're trying to build. Women are emotional creatures, and they're wired to respond to how you make them feel in the moment. They're not sitting there with a notepad tallying up every word you said, trying to figure out logically whether or not they should be attracted to you. That's not how it works. What matters is the vibe, the energy, the emotions that are created when they're in your presence. If being around you feels fun, if it feels safe, if it feels exciting, if it feels unpredictable in a good way, that's when attraction builds. That's when she starts to lean in. That's when she feels that spark. And the truth is, you could say absolutely nothing about how you feel. You could avoid all those long speeches and confessions, and she would still feel drawn to you if your actions, your demeanor, and your energy are in alignment with being a strong, grounded, masculine man. But what most guys do is they overcompensate with words. They say, if I just tell her I like her, if I remind her every day, if I write her long texts and pour my heart out, that's what's going to make her feel secure and interested in me. No, what that does is it creates the opposite effect. It puts pressure on her to respond with the same level of emotion that you're trying to project. And if she's not there yet, if her attraction isn't naturally building, then she starts to feel uncomfortable. She starts to feel like she has to reciprocate something she doesn't authentically feel in that moment. And that pressure makes her want to pull away. Why? Because women don't want to be talked into liking a man. They want to feel it, they want to experience it. They want it to happen naturally, without effort, without being forced, without being reasoned into it. That's why a guy can say very little, but if his actions line up with strength, confidence, humor, leadership, and self assurance, women will melt for him without him ever needing to say the words, I like you. Think about the guys who are the most successful with women. They don't go around making big announcements about their feelings. They don't spend all their time explaining why a woman should choose them. What they do is they create an experience, they show up in a way that makes the woman feel something she doesn't feel with other men. They bring the playful energy. They bring the calm confidence. They bring the decisiveness. They bring the fun. And because of that, the woman's emotions shift automatically when she's with them. That's the key. She's responding to the way they make her feel. And when you understand that, you stop wasting time trying to convince women with words, and instead you focus on your presence. Your energy, your leadership, that's where the attraction grows. That's where the spark happens. It's not about what you say. It's about how you make her feel while you're together. What most men don't realize is that women are constantly reading your behavior, your energy, and your presence. They're not judging you based on the fancy words that come out of your mouth. They're judging you based on how you show up. Your behavior tells her everything about who you are as a man. Do you keep your word? Do you lead confidently? Do you take care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally? Or are you insecure, inconsistent, and needy? A woman doesn't need you to tell her how much you like her, because she can already see it in the way you act around her. She notices the little details, your tone of voice, the way you look at her, whether you're comfortable in silence, whether you hold your frame when things don't go your way. All of that communicates infinitely more than the words, I like you, your presence, your energy, your behavior. That's what gives her the data she needs to feel attraction, or to feel nothing at all. Now here's where a lot of guys mess this up. They think they can say one thing and act another way. They'll tell a woman, you're amazing, I want to be with you, but then their actions completely contradict their words. Maybe they're blowing up her phone. Maybe they're canceling plans just to accommodate her at the last minute. Maybe they're constantly trying to win her over instead of focusing on their own lives. And what happens? She notices the incongruence. Women are incredibly perceptive. They feel energy at a deep level. If your words don't match your actions, she's going to feel it and her attraction will drop. This is why behavior matters more than words. A guy who says nothing but consistently acts like a man who values himself, who values his time, who treats her well without putting her on a pedestal will win out every single time over the guy who talks big but acts insecure. Because women are drawn to consistency. They're drawn to authenticity. They're drawn to men whose behavior matches the confident energy they project. And when we talk about presence, this is something most men underestimate. Presence means you're actually there with her in the moment, not distracted, not fidgeting, not trying to calculate your next move. Presence is about giving her your undivided attention when you're together, making her feel like she's the only woman in the room without smothering her. Presence is about being calm, grounded, and centered no matter what's happening around you. That kind of energy is rare and it's magnetic. When a woman feels that you're fully present with her, she relaxes. She feels safe. She feels feminine, and attraction flows naturally. No amount of verbal confessions can substitute for that kind of energy. You could say, I like you 1,000 times, but if your behavior shows insecurity, if your energy is anxious, if your presence is weak, those words will mean nothing. On the other hand, if your behavior is strong, your energy is confident, and your presence is grounded, you won't even need to say the words. She'll already feel it. So at the end of the day, guys, you've got to remember women are not going to be swayed by your words. You can't talk them into liking you. You can't talk them into attraction. That's not how this works. Attraction is an emotional experience. It's about how she feels when she's with you. And those feelings are created by your behavior, your energy, and your presence, not by you announcing how much you like her. If you want a woman to want you, then live in your masculine. Be the guy who knows his worth. Be the guy who doesn't need to sell himself. Be the guy who doesn't need to constantly seek approval. Because when you show up like that, when you show up confident, fun, decisive, calm, and centered, she can't help but feel drawn to you. That's what sparks desire. That's what creates attraction. That's what makes her chase you. So stop over-explaining. Stop confessing. Stop trying to logically convince her that she should like you. Instead, focus on being the man who makes her feel something. That's where the magic happens. That's when you separate yourself from every other guy out there who's begging for her attention. And that's when you'll see You don't need to tell a woman how much you like her because she'll already know. She'll feel it